Anime Adventures is said to be returning. In one of the most unexpected turn of events in Roblox history, one of the titans of the anime TD genre, an innovator, one of the games that really started it all for most people, is returning to the limelight once more. And this newfound information poses a lot of questions that I aim to talk about in this video, so without any further ado, let's get started.
No freaking way, bro. No freaking way.
Adventure is coming back. This is not a drill. This is not a
Taking
joke.
down Anime Adventures.
Anime Adventures is coming back, guys.
Yeah, you hear it. Game just got yeeted off of the Roblox platform.
In this video, I'll be discussing the three biggest and most debated talking points when discussing the return of Anime Adventures, that being the influence AA had on the platform, how will they fare against their newfound competitors, and how good was Anime Adventures. These three things have been a pretty hot topic debate for a while now, these past few days since the release trailer, and I feel like they encompass everything that I want to say for this video pretty well. So with all that being said, let's get into item number one. You can't talk about Anime Adventures without discussing the profound impact that it had on the anime TD genre on all of Roblox. Before Anime Adventures came out, yes, we did have some anime tower defense games like ASTD, but there was just an inexplicable feeling that was missing from these games. Something that would draw players in and keep them coming back over and over and over again. Now, would this addition be the extremely predatory gambling and microtransaction system that they had, which rewarded players for spending the most money while simultaneously keeping them hooked? Maybe. But I like to think that it was their quality above everything else that really made them stand out and become as big of a name as they are today. Anime Adventures felt expensive, and I don't know how to word this in a way that doesn't sound dumb, but Anime Adventures was the GPO of tower defense games. Much like how GPO was revolutionary for its graphics and quality in One Piece Roblox games, Anime Adventures was revolutionary for its quality and appearance in anime tower defense games. Now if you look at the average TD game on the platform, you can notice an extremely stark quality difference in comparison to what we had a couple years ago. And although yes, some of you might be hearing that and think that it's obvious, yeah, as time goes on, people get better at making Roblox games. You know, we got a real renaissance thinker over here. What I'm trying to say is that I feel as if anime tower defense games on Roblox would have never progressed as quickly as they did if Anime Adventures wasn't made and if it wasn't taken down soon after. While we're on the topic of new tower defense games, this brings us right into our next topic, which is competition. How will Anime Adventures fare against the entire new generation of TD games on the platform, which have been able to take advantage of their absence in order to build a player base of loyal people that will stick by their game and glaze it no matter what? Well, this is where the issue becomes a little more nuanced. Because the main reason that these games rose to the meteoric success that they did, yes, it is in turn partly because the developers are talented and the games are good. But it's also because Anime Adventures was gone. I, along with many other people, really only started playing these games because Anime Adventures was gone. There was simply no other alternative to it. And in my quest of quenching my thirst of big flashy colors on the screen, as well as anime characters, I looked for games that would replace it, never quite filling the void that AA left behind. So how do I think that they're going to fare against the competition? Well, I'll get into specifics. Anime Odyssey and Anime Realms, you guys are, capital F, fucked. You are fucked. And I don't mean this in a rude, derogatory, or like defamatory way. I'm not saying this because I hate the games. I hate Anime Odyssey, but I like Anime Realms. I'm not saying it because I think that these games are inherently horrible. And I'm not saying it because I hate the games, besides Anime Odyssey. But what I'm trying to say is, these two games committed probably the biggest blunder that they could have done unintentionally. Because their entire shtick, their whole gimmick, their identity was being an Anime Adventures clone. That is who they were, that is who they wanted to be, that is what they advertised themselves as, and now it came back to bite them in the butt horrendously, because the worst thing that could have ever happened to them, the doomsday scenario, the worst case in all time ever, if this happens we're gonna have to quit scenario, is that Anime Adventures came back. They were never counting on that, and with good reason. I wasn't either. I don't think anyone was, but the fact of the matter is, Anime Adventures, the game that you're copying, is coming back. The original, the one that everyone loves, the one that everyone has a connection to, will be coming back very, very soon. So this community that you built of old AA fans that are nostalgic for a chance to play their favorite game again, they're gone. They are completely gone, because the millisecond that AA comes back, they are gonna toss your game away like yesterday's garbage. And I know that sounds very, very mean when I say that, but it's just me being as honest as I can be for this situation. Now, Anime Odyssey, you guys already had one foot out the door. Your release was horrendous, and you never even came out with another version of the game to play until very recently, and your early access was also horrendous. In fact, you guys were silencing any content creators that talked remotely negatively about your game in early access. And no hate to the developer team or the people that actually worked on Anime Odyssey, because I can tell that that game has genuine effort put behind it. Yes, they are a copycat game that didn't really come up with anything original, but they still had to work on the game, and that I can respect, and I'm not going to hate on someone for doing their job. But what I can hate on is the owner. From what I can tell, and don't quote me on this, but it's just from what I've been able to gather on the internet and watching videos, people telling me in DMs about the stuff that he's done, String, the owner of Anime Odyssey, is a very, very bad owner. And he is not fit to run a Roblox game the size of Anime Odyssey. In fact, the game isn't even out yet, but he's just not fit to run a game with that level of publicity and hype and a fan base behind it. He's just not ready for that. Either he's not ready for it or he never will be, because the decisions that he's made, not only in the past but up until recent, would have been enough to kill the game right out the gate. They were already on thin ice, and with Anime Adventures coming back, that thin ice has shattered completely. They are now drowning in the water, and they don't have a life jacket on. They are cooked. They are so cooked. And let's talk about Anime Realms. Anime Realms, I love ya. I was extremely fond of your game. I was excited to make videos on it the second that it released. Devluck, one of the main developers for that game, is an extremely genuine guy who seems like he's passionate about what he's doing. He actually interacts with his community and conducts himself like an adult, which is more than I can say for the AO owner. That's a bit of a tongue twister. But I'm going to have to tell you the truth. If you continue with your current plan, which is to release an Anime Adventures copy, you will get absolutely curb stomped by Anime Adventures. They are going to kill your game, and it's going to be looking like Anime Royale after Anime Vanguards came out. An absolute wasteland, a barren desert with not a single player in sight. The only way that I can see you guys salvaging this is if your new project, or your current project, because you already have a player base that's excited to play your game, you're going to have to make some pretty big fundamental changes to set yourself apart and not be an Anime Adventures clone, because as it stands, being an AA clone is no longer lucrative. In fact, it is probably the worst thing that you could invest your time into, because there's no need for clones. We're getting the original back. That little niche market that you were trying to capitalize on is gone, and it is not going to be coming back anytime soon. So, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not a game designer. I'm not a developer. So, by all means, take my opinion with a grain of salt. But I think it's not an outrageous thing to say that if you make an AA copy, knowing that Anime Adventures is going to come back out anyway, don't be surprised when your game dies. Now we have to address the elephant in the room in terms of competition, Anime Vanguards. This is without a doubt their biggest and scariest competitor out of all of the tower defense games. Why do I say that? Number one, their quality rivals, if not beats AA. In fact, I'm willing to die on the hill that Vanguards looks way, way better than Anime Adventures. Albeit, I'm comparing a current game with extremely talented developers that are working on it daily to a game that was out years ago. But you get what I'm trying to say. If Anime Adventures is going to have to deal with any forks in the road, Anime Vanguards is probably the biggest fork in the road. It is the equivalent to the iceberg that sunk the Titanic. It's a problem. Something that they're going to have to come across. Because, like I said, game looks good. They have a bunch of people that played AA on their developer team. Like, the only example that comes to mind is Andre Andrevius. But, you know, that dude knows Anime Adventures like the back of his hand. He was a leaderboard player. He played that game like there was no tomorrow, and he uses that knowledge to push Anime Vanguards to be as good as it can be. Who would have thought having an extremely insightful amount of knowledge on the game that you're taking inspiration from would have been helpful in the development process of making the game. So, Anime Vanguards right now, maybe it doesn't always have the highest player count at all times for anime tower defense games, but when it drops an update, the hype behind it is always unreal. People are always waiting for Anime Vanguards. Yes, they will get bored of it. Yes, they will complain about it. But no matter what, and this has been proven time and time again, this isn't even me glazing, every time they update, the players always come back without fail. Say what you want about the game, but they have their community in a chokehold, and for good reason, because the game is well made, it's fun, and it's good. It's a good tower defense game on the platform. And that's where I think that Anime Adventures might have to up their game a little bit. Their past way of doing things, namely their extremely predatory reroll system, their progression systems, the length of each stage, all of those things have been fundamentally changed by Anime Vanguards and become the norm across all tower defense games. So if Anime Adventures wants to compete, they're going to have to step it up in terms of how they run their game and how they go about implementing the core features which everyone once loved. If they think that people are still going to be extremely happy to get rerolls once every blue moon just to roll some shitty comment trait, I think they have another thing coming. And if they think that they're not going to have to change any of their other game features in order to retain their player base, they're also going to have another thing coming. The last topic within this video, and probably the one that will get me the most backlash, is, was Anime Adventures good? Was the game genuinely as good as we remember it, or are we seeing it with rose-tinted glasses, blinded by our own nostalgia? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this section. Here's what I will say about Anime Adventures: it's fun. Whoa, I know, stay with me now. I might have said something crazy. Yes, I think Anime Adventures is fun. I'm sure a lot of people agree with me. There's a reason so many people still yearn it to this day. But was it really as good as we remembered it? At its core, Anime Adventures did one thing right, and that was making their game feel good to play. And you know exactly what I'm talking about when there are tower defense games that just don't feel good to play. Some don't give you that inexplicable feeling of satisfaction when you're playing the game, when you're watching your units murk the enemies, when you're progressing naturally. It just, not all games can give you that. Anime Adventures was, at least to my knowledge, the first game that gave that feeling to a very wide stream audience of people. Wide stream? Is that even a word? Mainstream? A lot of people. You get what I'm trying to say. The game really felt good to play. That does not mean that it's free of fault. A YouTuber, his name is Bakudo Anime, he made a really great video discussing this, and I'll probably link it in the description of this video, since most of the things that I'm saying, it's not regurgitated from his video, but he articulates it way better than I could. So just watch that video if you have the time. It ties into this section pretty heavily. Anime Adventures is a good game with many faults, namely their extremely predatory microtransaction system that was like, pay to win is an understatement for how Anime Adventures ran things. They were siphoning money out of your wallet quicker than you could even load up their game. There was a lot, and I mean a lot, of things to buy in that game. And although they weren't necessary, if you wanted even a remote chance at competing in any of the game modes, because tournaments didn't have a traitless version back then, although they technically did, it was random whenever they got it. It was a modifier. So every week, if the tournament wasn't traitless, you're cooked, because someone with 3 uniques is gonna outdamage you in their first run, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Now, besides the reroll situation in Anime Adventures, the fact that their stages are somewhat lengthy is something that I imagine will turn off a lot of people from the game. You gotta keep in mind that in this day and age, the amount of people that played Anime Adventures back then and are still willing to play it now, all these years later, has dwindled significantly. Because most people have just grown apart. They've grown away from Anime Adventures, and I can't blame them. Either their taste in video games becomes different, they just don't like anime TD games anymore, maybe they quit video games altogether. A good crowd of Anime Adventures' original player base is gone. And the people that are hyping up the game, I'd say it's a 50-50 split. Half of the players actually played the game, and the other half are people who have never touched the game in their lives and are only running off of what YouTubers say in their videos. Yet, they'll continue to hype up Anime Adventures anyway, just because that's the popular opinion. That's what everyone says, and why think for yourself when you can just regurgitate what someone else says on the internet? Now, do I think AA was all that? Was it good? Honestly, yeah. Despite all of its faults, present day AA, if you put it in a vacuum, drop it right now, I think it would outperform ALS, it would outperform Anime Reborn, it would outperform Anime Vanguards. I think that it would be a very, very heavy hitter within the genre. Now, this is obviously keeping in mind that they had their huge player base from before, and the hype for the game is as big as it is right now, yada yada. You get what I'm trying to say. I still think Anime Adventures was a good game, but it's also a game that has a lot of things that it needs to smooth over if it wants to ensure its longevity on the platform. Because if you drop the game right now as is, people are gonna love it. They are gonna eat it up for maybe a week. And then they're gonna realize that the game is a glorified casino that doesn't let you have fun unless you drop money on the game. In which case, people will logically stop wanting to play the game and go back to their other TD games that they already have progress on and that they already have good stuff on. Games that reward the player a lot more than Anime Adventures ever has. It's a lot of moving factors when we're discussing whether Anime Adventures was that good. What I will tell you is that as someone who played Anime Adventures, it is a great game, but it is not anywhere near as good as what people say it is. The levels of hype behind this game, I firmly believe, are fueled by nostalgia. Because if we really take a minute to look back at this, was Anime Adventures the savior that we really all think it is? Or do we just yearn for a simpler time when we were happier with that game? I'll never know. I'm no psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever you want to call it, but I think that's going to wrap up the end of this section, and also it's going to wrap up the video. So there you have it. That is my take on the entire Anime Adventures situation as a whole, as well as the most frequent debate topics that seem to be circulating around on the internet. Thank you for making it till the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please like, sub, comment, and let me know if you guys agree or disagree with the things that I said in the video. With all that out of the way, have a great day or night wherever you are. Stay tuned for more content, and we'll catch you in the next one.
There's only one deal left. Rappers screaming all in our ears like we're deaf. Tempt me, do a number on the label. Eat up all the MCs and drink them under the table like it's on me. Put it on my tab, kid, however you get there. Foot it, cab it, iron horse it. You're leaving on your face, forfeit. I crushed the mic, hold it like the heat, he might toss it. Told him, tell him they stole it. He told her he lost it. She told him get off it and a bunch of other more shit. Getting money, DTs be getting on new leads. It's like he eating watermelon, stay spitting new seeds. It's the weed, give me some of what he drooping off. Soon as he wake up, choke it like it was a whooping cough.